Hi people, it's me Anja, welcome back to my channel. And in case you're wondering whether or not I'm filming another recommended reads video, to mask the fact that my reading this month has not been stellar, then you are absolutely correct. And if you're wondering if I've filmed all the rest of my recommended reads videos to mask the fact that in those weeks I hadn't been reading very well, then you are also absolutely correct. So anyway, well, that's not true for like all of my recommended reads videos, but for this month specifically, my reading this month has not been very good, but hopefully by the time that you're watching this in mid-September, hopefully my reading has gotten back to normal. So hopefully my next video will be a recent reads video. So yay. I know that some of you prefer recent reads videos over recommended reads videos, and I too prefer recent reads videos over recommended reads videos. So I just wanted to give a little PSA. Anyway, this video focuses on my favorite underrated duologies. At the beginning of quarantine, I did a video called My Favorite Duologies. So these duologies are also really good, but that first video that I did, those books are superior. So anyway, the first duology in this list is the Stormcloak duology. The Stormcloak is the first one, the Crow Rider, which I've read like last week or so, recently, are both really good. This duology is set in a world where elemental crows rule everything and are in every single aspect of life, and it's set in this like tropical kingdom, and the premise is the enemy comes in and destroys everything, and it follows the princess Thea, who tries to get back what the enemy stole from her, and this works out when she finds an egg from a crow, from the Stormcloaks, that she thought that the crow population was wiped out when the enemy came in, but apparently they didn't. So that was really good. I really like this duology. I think that the world building and the setting and the plot and the characters were all truly unique. My favorite part of reading YA fantasy is the world building, and this world building popped off. And the sequel was so good. And I truly loved it, and Thea is such a wonderful, lovely character too. So please go read this duology. It is so good. The next duology on this list is Alistairglimms Auditorium, written by Gregory Funaro. I mentioned this duology in my favorite middle grade book series because this duology is so wonderful and absolutely lovely. And it follows Grub, who's never known anything beyond being a chimney sweep, until he stows away in Alistairglimms' carriage, and he's just swept away into this magical, wonderful adventure, and he meets all these wonderful people, and it has themes of found family, which is one of my favorite tropes. And I really love this duology. It is so good. I loved the adventure that Grub was on because I was also on that adventure, because Gregory does such a great job drawing the readers in and just hooking you in and hooking you along for the ride. And I really loved it, and I often have low expectations for middle grade fantasy because since it's a younger audience, it's tailored toward a younger audience anyway, I think that it's going to be cheesy or something, because I know that 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds are reading this for the most part, and people say you should write for your audience, so I know that I'm not in the audience. So anyway, that's why I have low expectations, but this duology exceeded those low expectations, and it is so good, and people should read middle grade more often. And if you want to start with this duology because it is absolutely so good and so underrated. The next duology on this list is the Wolf by Wolf duology, written by Graudin. This duology is set in an alternate history world in 1956, so it's historical fiction technically, but it's set in an alternate history, so it's also historical fantasy in a way. So anyway, it's set in a world where Hitler won World War II, and to commemorate this wonderful thing, he hosts a motorcycle race annually, and the winner of the race gets to meet him. So Yael, who's a former death camp prisoner, wants to enter this race, win it, and kill him. So a historical fantasy element that comes into play that helps her do this is shapeshifting. Because Yael can shapeshift. Yay! So she shapeshifts into a former victor so that she has a better chance at winning the race. So that's fun. The sequel, by the way, is called Blood for Blood, and this duology is so good. I think that Ryan does a great job with the fantastical elements of it all and the historical time period, because I feel like sometimes when people write their own history that's inspired by our history, they tend to write their own rules and they don't really care too much about the repercussions and the consequences of this timeline actually happening. And Ryan, I think, did such a great job dealing with that, because I think that that is so important to consider if you're writing about alternate timelines and time travel and all of that. Anyway, this duology is so good, and I know I mentioned this duology pretty recently, but that's just because this duology is so good, and you guys should definitely please read it. I feel like the lighting in this video is just so obscure and so weird that you probably think that I've been filming in several different places, but I really haven't. It's just the same pathway that I've been on. Anyway, the next duology on this list is the Devouring Gray duology, written by Kristen and Lynn Herman. The sequel to the Devouring Gray is called The Deck of Omens, and I read this duology pretty recently, so I'll leave those two recent videos in the description below. Anyway, this duology is set in it's kind of like an urban fantasy, magical realism type of book. Also, on that note, are urban fantasy and magical realism the same thing? I feel like they're not, or else it would be the same category. Anyway, this duology is set in this place where there's this beast that's trapped in the gray, hence the Devouring Gray, and the children, well, they're teenagers, they're not really children, but the teenagers of the founding families of this place must figure out the mystery, because bodies start to show up because of the beast. So they must team together and figure out what's going on. And you're probably wondering, why them? Well, you'll figure it out when you read this duology, because they're all connected in some sort of way. So this duology is great. I did not do a great job selling it because I am terrible at synopses, but if you're new to my channel, that's just me. Welcome to my channel. Yay. Anyway, please read this duology, even though my chaotic review for it is not very good. It is quite rubbish, but like I said, what's new on my channel? Anyway, please read this duology, it's so good. The last duology on this list is called the Mirage duology, written by Somaiya Daud, or Daud, I don't know. The sequel is called Court of Lions, and I read it roughly about last week, I think, so I'll leave that recently video in the description below. Anyway, Mirage is this Asian fantasy YA, and it follows Amani, who dreams of life prior to the occupation, and dreams for adventure. However, when adventure comes to her, it's not what she expects, because the government wants her to impersonate the princess that everybody hates so much, and they want her to play the part. And if she doesn't play the part, she risks losing her life. So that's just not ideal, but she must do it, or else she dies. So anyway, this duology is so good. It's so intricate and meticulous and wonderful. This duology would have been in my favorite Asian fantasies video if I had read Court of Lions at that point, but I hadn't. So anyway, this duology is so good. I love the world building, I love the setting, I love the characters. Court of Lions has a wonderful sapphic romance in it, and the romance in this book as well is so good. Possibly one of my favorite parts of this entire duology is the romance, which is pretty rare for me because I feel like I always say that I prefer friendships over romances. So anyway, this duology is just so good and just so underrated and deserves so much more hype. So please add to the hype and read it. So in conclusion, all of these duologies are so good and so underrated and are absolutely wonderful. And I hope that my reviews, no matter how chaotic they may seem, are truly helpful to you. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder whether or not my videos are actually helpful to anyone because I always upload the videos before anybody actually sees them, since, you know, I'm pre-filming 4 weeks in advance, as we all know. So I'm always a little bit anxious about said video because I've seen it so many times before anybody else actually sees it. So sometimes I'm not even sure if people are enjoying my content, but I know that people are because I recently surpassed 200 subscribers, which is so nice and just so lovely. And I love that people are actually enjoying my content because it makes me so happy. And yeah, it just makes me so happy. So please, thank you for all of your continued support. It truly means the world to me. I know that everybody says that, but it really does mean the world to me, because otherwise, how am I supposed to know that people are enjoying my content if you guys didn't comment or like my videos or engage? It just means so much to me. So please, thank you, and please continue. And to do so, give this video a thumbs up, comment down below your favorite underrated duologies. If you've read any of these duologies, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more. Bye!